Hello everybody, and welcome to Office Hours. On the last Friday in the month, we talk about a specific topic. And this time around, we're going to share some tips and tricks about Lightning. And I am so glad that we have these three awesome people who are all Lightning gurus, and I'm hoping to learn as much from them as you do. What happens when we have these topics is that we do a bit of show and tell as well as answering your questions. Please feel free, as usual, to put your questions in chat as we're talking, and we'll come to the answers and incorporate your questions into the discussion as we go. As usual, there are a lot of us on the call, and I'm sure there will be more joining shortly. So thank you for our last Friday in July. We'd be grateful if you would mute your microphone unless you're presenting, or we ask you to speak, of course. But everybody else, please be aware of background noise and mute your mic. Thank you very much. I did ask the panel which of them wanted to go first, and nobody's volunteered, so they're going to be voluntold. But I was actually going to start. Let's just quickly, for the benefit of people on the panel, let's just people who are listening in, who might be wondering what on earth we're talking about. Let's just cover the basics. So can one of you kind of in one sentence say, what is lightning? Why are we talking about lightning?
Yeah, I can jump into that. Lightning is in a sentence, is the new Salesforce interface. So if you have recently spun up Salesforce, or if one of your clients has recently spun up Salesforce, is new to Salesforce, this is the only Salesforce interface that they'll know. Classic is kind of what they're calling the interface of yesteryear, I guess, since it's kind of started sunsetting, or Lightning started rolling out with everyone last year. And if you have been a Salesforce user for a long, long time, you might even remember the even less user-friendly red and black version of Salesforce that I don't even think that interface has a name anymore, pre-Classic maybe. So Lightning, Salesforce basically took user experience very seriously when they were designing Lightning, and tried to kind of put things where you would intuitively think they are. So I have found that if you're brand new to Salesforce, Lightning is much less intimidating and everything kind of exists where you expect it to be. If you are a Salesforce Classic user and you switch over to Lightning, it's a little bit different because you're obviously used to everything where it was in Classic, and it's moved around a little bit.
You've just covered what was going to be my next question. Thank you, Michelle. That was great. Just to reassure the Classic users out there, though, for people who aren't ready to give it up, is Classic going to go away?
Classic will go away 1 year after the last Salesforce user or the Salesforce org switches from Classic to Lightning. So it's completely up to the customers when Classic goes away. They're going to very much encourage you to switch over to Lightning. All of the new features and fun stuff that they're creating for Salesforce is going to get rolled out on Lightning, not on Classic. But Classic's not going to go away until everyone is switched over, and even then they say they're going to wait 12 months.
Wow, there we go. Well, that also answers my question. The next question I was going to ask you was why should you care? And I think you're right, isn't it, Michelle? That's where the fun is. That's where the innovation is now. There's even in current releases there are new features that are coming out that are Lightning only, aren't they? So, and as you say, Michael, yeah, okay. I think the Lightning experience is technically what we're talking about. Lightning is what Salesforce is prepending to anything new. Yes, There is the interface though as well, as you said, isn't there, Michelle? Which is definitely Lightning. So I think you're right, because it is all about putting that kind of relevant information front and center for the users, isn't it? There's a lot of stuff that now gets rather hidden that I guess we've kind of been accustomed to seeing as classic users, and we have to focus out. And I think that has an impact on page layouts, which I know, Beth, you wanted to talk about. And you also have to be, I guess, a bit of more of a search ninja. And you wanted to talk about that, Michelle. So which of you would like to? Beth, do you want to tell us a little bit? You phrased this as the sudden importance of compact page layouts. Do you want to explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, sure. So I have a theory about Lightning that, or not so much a theory, but the first thing I tell admins when they're looking at Lightning is you have to go and look at all your compact layouts. And most admins will say, Renee, could you mute your mic? Or we may be able to do it for you.
That's fine. I'll do it. Carry on, Beth.
So most admins will say, my what now? Because compact layouts were this quirky little thing that you sort of didn't need to understand or worry about. And now in Lightning experience, they are suddenly front and center and really super powerful. So Caroline, if you would make me presenter, I can share and explain what a compact layout is and how to adjust it. Thank you. All right, so let me make this a little bit smaller. So this is a contact in SuccessPack in Lightning. I think this is if you haven't done anything to the page layout. This is just the default how it's going to show. And the compact layout is these two little fields here. And it actually includes the contact field up here as well, the name. So you have this header bar. And what's nice is those fields show up even if I'm not on the details section of my new record home. So we now have page layouts, but then also record homes, which is basically it's the new generation of page layouts. And your old page layout still determines what shows up here in your details and how your related lists are configured, although I'm going to get to that in a second. But the record home then determines where those two components sit on these tabs or otherwise, what appears here in the right-hand sidebar, what buttons appear up here, and what appears up here in this header bar. So the compact layout drives the header bar, and it's great because it gives me a really quick way of showing some key fields. So this one only has 3. It has the name and then the account name and then the total gifts. But if I can add up to 8 fields to a compact layout. So I can end up with quite a nice little snapshot here across the top of this contact. And that'll show even when I'm looking at a different, so even if the details aren't, section isn't exposed right now, I would still get those sort of top 8 fields. Right here at a glance. And I have taken to using indicator badges like formula image fields and things right in that header bar to really give me a ton of information just right at a glance. So this is this quirky little feature that you probably never even knew existed, and I can show you where it is. So if you go to Edit Object up here from the cog, that's going to take me right into the object manager for contacts. And down here on the left, I see compact layouts. And there are a few already here. There's a compact layout assignment similar to page layout assignment. And this is the one that is assigned right now. So I can see I have name, account name, and total gift. And actually, pro tip, this field here does not have to be the name of the record you're on. It can actually be any field. It's actually driven by the first field in the compact layout, which just by default is the record name, but it doesn't have to be. So you can get a little bit tricksy with formula fields and things with that if you want to expose more information in that really big headline. You can actually put a formula field here instead of name. But yeah, up to 8 fields here. So the top one will be the headline, and then the 7 below that will show up in the header bar underneath. So that's compact layout.
That's a very cool tip about the formula. Very nice.
Yeah,
great. So Bill Florio had asked a little while ago about sort of killer features of the kind of game changers, the killer features in Lightning. Do you put compact layouts on your killer features list, Beth?
I think the way they're leveraged in Lightning is really powerful. I mean, I think to the point where there's certain page layouts where I might not even expose the full details pane. Like I can get enough information on a simple record or a simple object that doesn't have more than 8 fields. I think it's super powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
I would agree. This is Angela, and I would agree that compact layouts are where a lot of power is in terms of user experience and folks who may not have as much experience with Salesforce. Just the ability to add those fields that they're always going to look for within that top section really comes in handy. One little gotcha, and Beth, thanks so much for pointing it out, but the first field that's in the compact layout will show up at the top. We did have an instance where there was a lot of confusion because the compact layout had the account name as the first field instead of the contact name, and that caused users in this org a lot of confusion because they'd click on the contact record and they were on the contact record, like they were absolutely on the correct record, but the first field that they saw up at the top was actually the name of the household, and that was super confusing. So just a little point of pro tip, that first field is super important because it's the first thing that they're going to see right in that bright blue text.
And what's funny is that it still links through to the contact. If you do that, you can see here. And sorry, my households are called peeps because this is a demo org that I demo household.
Honey, these are my peeps.
These are your peeps, Angela. Yeah. So yeah, like this, right? So I moved. I don't know if you saw while Angela was talking. I made that change and I put account name as the first field here. And then if I refresh over here, now I have the account name still linked to the account as the headline. And then Anna's name has popped down here into the second position. So just be careful with what you have as your first field.
Yeah, also something you want to pay attention to with custom objects where the record name might be an auto number.
Yes.
That's not always something that's useful to users either.
Terribly not useful. That's where you can get fun with formula fields as your headline that actually are a meaningful name, and then hide the auto number reference, or just don't even expose it in the header bar.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. While we're on layout, I mean, there are some other things that are kind of interesting. I mean, the hover over something is more interesting. Like, when you're hovering on that contact name, you're getting a lot more information, aren't you, than you.
Yeah. So when you hover on an account, I don't know exactly, is it the first related list that shows? I don't remember. Let's go and look.
I think it's like some of the compact layout, and then I think for it's not the first related list. It's something else. It might be the first related list that isn't the record related list that you're looking at.
Oh, clever, wouldn't it? Yeah, maybe.
Well, no. Who knows if Lightning is that smart?
But yeah, at any rate, you are getting a lot more information here. And you even have a link right through to the view all of the opportunities of the parent account, right? So it's there's a lot more there. Caroline, do you want me to go through and show stack related lists now, or do you want to come back to me?
Well, we did have a question on related lists, which may or may not from Michael. By default, the campaign members list on a campaign is a chart, not a list. Do you know how to change that to a list?
Doesn't show up. Let's take a look. What do you mean it doesn't? What? I had never seen this. I haven't used campaigns recently.
And I can't figure out how to change it.
What the? That is so weird.
And it's not helpful.
No, it's not. There's an idea on the Idea Exchange that I'm going to look up now. The answer is the way you can see the list is exactly what Beth showed you. You have to click View All.
Well, yeah.
And it does bring you to a really helpful list view, so you can, easily add, subtract, change the status of people from this list view. But when you want to see it on the related list, obviously it's not very helpful that you have to click once more. So I'm going to find that idea so you can vote for it. But that's the way to change it right now.
It's actually kind of cool if that's what you want, is just a high level view of the breakdown of your statuses. But yeah, I had not noticed that. Thank you for pointing that out.
All right. Yeah, I'm trying to think of where the chart would be helpful. I'm kind of with Michael. I think most of the time when people go to campaigns, they just want to see who's in them. So they want to see the names. Let's see. Another question from Bill's sort of layout as well. Can you change the actual reference to the other records by moving that top field? For example, I want to search for contracts, I think, by account name instead of number.
I'm not understanding the question.
Bill, do you want to tell us what you mean? Oh, he's getting a mic, obviously. Can you? And quickly, while Bill is sorting out his sound, there's a quick question. There's a question from Martin. Can you be Lightning enabled in a sandbox, but keep your production environment in Classic only?
Absolutely, and that is definitely the recommended first step.
Okay, thank you. Bill, can you? Oh no, he's gone on mute again. All right.
Hi.
Here you go. Hi, Bill.
Hello? Do you hear me?
Yep, can hear you.
No. Okay. Yeah. So this came up this week, right? We used the out of the box contracts object, and our legal team was like, "Hey, is it possible to search for that contract by the account instead of knowing the number?" And my answer was like, "Well, that object is made for people who like to memorize numbers." So I was just wondering if you could change the actual reference, like in related lists, by this, because that would be a killer feature.
This is, there we go. Limit search to contracts. No, that was contacts, sorry. I
guess the example would be if you left that account at the top of the list on the contracts. I don't know if that's a good example because you can search for that now.
That's what you're saying. Does that change the search indexing?
Yeah.
No, that's separate. There is a cool thing now where you can limit your search, except it seems to not work. I guess it's only across contacts and accounts. You can now do this, and I think another panelist might be getting into search later, so maybe we should hold off and hold that question for that person.
Cool, thanks.
Well, that may be a good segue, and we could come back to looking at the related lists. Because Michelle, yes, you did want to talk about search. So, do we stay in Beth's demo? Do you want to switch to you?
Yeah, I can pull up my demo.
Sure.
If you want to.
Yeah. Here we go, Michelle. Should be. Sorry, the OK is hidden behind the chat. There we go.
All right. Can everyone see my screen now?
I can.
Awesome. So yeah, like Beth was just demoing, and I think this is the custom searches live for accounts, contacts, opportunities, and cases. It's not for products and contracts and a couple of the newer standard objects in Salesforce. And I believe, although I'm not sure, and this is a demo org with no custom objects, but I believe it will work with custom objects as well. But it definitely works with contacts, accounts, opportunities, and cases. And basically what that is, you know, if you only want to look for accounts, you can limit your search to accounts. And then if you type that in, it's just going to pull up the account results here. Otherwise, it'll pull up everything. But the nice thing is it sorts it like on this top results page, which is a little bit of Einstein mixed in with your search, because Salesforce sort of learns what and can guess kind of what you're looking for. So I mean, because I just looked for the account edge communications, it surfaced accounts first, and then contacts and opportunities. But I can also drill down over here on the left side and look at specific things as well. So cool updates to the global search. The number one thing when I ask new admins, like what's the difference between the classic and the Lightning global search, is they say like, oh, it's in the center. It's so much easier to access. So apparently moving it an inch over is like a big help to users as well. So a little bit of Salesforce UX design there. But wait, there's more. So the thing I really like about Lightning is kind of it's following in that kind of path of the Google Drives and stuff like that, that search over sorting is like a really big, because we end up with so many records, so many objects, so many fields, that it's just a pain to kind of have to go through and search for everything. I don't know if any of you learned how the setup menu looked or worked on Classic, but as soon as that quick find bar came out, like that's where I lived. And so Salesforce has kind of taken that to a new level. You still have the quick find bar in setup over here to help you find things. And that works pretty similarly to the way that it worked in Classic. But they've also added quick find bars in objects themselves. So if you go into an object, actually let me step back to the object manager. So if you're looking for an object, and I don't know if you guys, when Lightning first came out, this was like the most annoying page to deal with, because there was no way, you had to like click next to get through all your object lists. Now you can just start typing the name of the object and it'll come up. Same thing when you go into the object itself. How many of you guys have like tons and tons of fields on your standard objects, maybe more than you should? Instead of having to scroll down through all of those, you can just type it up here and the quick search will automatically pull it up. So there's like kind of quick search all over the place. Also in the reports and dashboards. Oops. Well, also up here in your app launcher. I didn't even mean to launch that, but there you go. Your app launcher has quick find, and that'll search through the apps, but it'll also search through the items, which are kind of the, if you do the view all tabs from Classic, that's kind of what this list is. So you can search for that instead of having to look through that really long list of all the different possible tabs you can have, or if you have a lot of apps. And then if we go into reports and dashboards, this smart search up here will automatically learn that you're looking at reports, so it's going to look for reports for you first. But you can still switch it if you want to look for accounts. You can do that too. So this global search kind of adapts itself when you're on reports and dashboards, so you can just search for reports and or your dashboards up here. And yeah, and I don't remember who asked it, but I think this is a huge game changer for using LEX in the Lightning interface versus Classic, because the search features are just so much more powerful.
So Gil Brand had asked a question about, he'd heard good things about the navigation bar. And I don't know whether he means, is this what you would understand as the navigation bar?
I think so. And I think like the one big thing about the navigation bar is it's just an example of how quickly Salesforce responds to customer demand. Because when Lightning first rolled out, this didn't exist. There was a sidebar on the side, much like you see in Salesforce 1, that had a bunch of icons for home, opportunities, leads, et cetera, et cetera. And it was really cumbersome because you didn't always, I mean, you could tell that a house was probably home, but you know, what's the icon that most means opportunities to you? Like, I don't know. So that was like that was really confusing, and having to pull it up over here was just not very user friendly. So a lot of people complained about it. So they put up tabs. So the navigation bar is pretty much the same as it is in Classic. The one addition is that all of your objects, as well as reports and dashboards, now come with this little drop down. So you don't actually have to go into the opportunities tab. It'll pull up recent opportunities that you've looked at and also give you the ability to create a new opportunity right from here. If I look at accounts, it'll pull up your recent records, recent lists. So by the time, without having to kind of click multiple times, you can go and see exactly what you're looking for.
This is Gil. It seemed like there was a way to park frequently used pages at the bottom on the navigation bar at the bottom.
Yes. Oh, that was the other topic I wanted to cover. So that is favorites, and you can basically add favorites on anything where this little star up here is gray. So if I wanted to make this list one of my favorites, I just click this and it's added to my favorites. Since I love edge communication so much, say I look at this record a lot, I can mark this as my favorite. If there's a report that I like to run, let me see if I have any reports in here. Sure. I can mark a report as my favorite. And those are all available up here. You can add up to 200, which seems like a little bit of overkill, but.
Wait, Michelle, did they increase that? I thought it was 50.
As of 2 months ago, what I heard was 200. 50 is probably a good number to stay below, though. Like, if you have 200 favorites, then you're kind of doing overkill.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. This is like, it's like, you know, who's your favorite child? Just pick your favorite records. And then, you know, if you do find it being cumbersome, you can always edit and remove from this list. And what it'll also do is all of my favorite stuff that's related to accounts is now showing up down here in my favorites, in addition to the recent things that I've looked at. And the same if I go over to reports, it's going to pull up my favorites that are reports. So it kind of divides them all up into the different objects or categories that they're in.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, thanks for that awesome segue question, Bill.
If it's dividing them up, then I can see why maybe you want 200, because you might want things on each tab, but 200, wow. Thank you for confirming, Gaurav. I think that's one of those things where people probably rolled their eyes and went, why would people want 200 favorites? But hey, we can make it work, so you would. No, that's great. Yeah, favorites they're fun. Absolutely. Oh, okay. The search comment from Michael. The search results page is a tad disappointing because it no longer shows the count of records matching your search per object, or if there are any records at all in an object. And he suggests an idea to make the search page
Yeah, so it does show them in the top results up here, but it doesn't, yeah, I know what you mean. It doesn't show them on this related list over here, unless you like click into them and then it'll show it. But yeah, that's a really good idea.
Oh, thank you, Gaurav. It is 200, and that is ridiculous.
Yes, and if you have a lot of, and as Michael suggests, yes, if you have a lot of objects, it's even more clicks because at what we're looking at, I think, in the search results, presumably because you just have to do, yeah, you have to do a
Right.
bit
This
of
is even not any custom objects, and you can see how long this list is already. So yes, this can get very cumbersome. So yeah, having the counts over here would be really, really useful.
Great. Any other sort of search related things that we're in your demo org, Michelle?
I don't think so. You can also search, by the way, the search bar also applies to your chatter feed, which is
interesting.
technically a standard object as well. But you can also search your chatter feed from up here, and it should show as, yeah, a related list over here as well.
Okay.
There it is. Of course, I don't have anyone to chat with in my org.
So, and I suppose that's something you could add to favorites as well if there was a particular post or something you needed to refer back to, because it can be a whole mixture of things, can't it?
I don't know if you can favorite a post. You can definitely favorite a chatter group. And you can favorite a person. But I don't think you can favorite. You can still bookmark stuff in chatter and like save for later and create your custom feeds. But I don't think that you can mark an individual chatter post as a favorite. I could try it right now.
It's all right. Anyone here?
You could add a chatter post to a stream that you have.
Oh,
exactly.
Ah, there we go. So what's a stream?
Kristen, are we going to make you answer that?
Yeah, go on, Christian. You said stream. What's a stream?
Sort of like favorites for your chatter. You can kind of create one right over here and add records. You can add posts. You can add groups, and they'll follow right in that specific stream. So it's a way to kind of break up your feed instead of having it be one massive thing.
Oh, nice. That sounds like fun. But Gaurav's saying, can you share them, or are streams a personal thing?
They are a personal thing.
Okay, that's what you're interested in. Great. Oh, nice.
And yeah, oh, and I can't make you can't make a stream your favorite, which because this is a white star, if it's gray, you can make it your favorite, but not for streams. But it's okay because your streams are like a little favorites list within Chatter.
Fantastic. There you go. That's how you do Chatter favorites. And thank you, Thomas, for there's a link that he's just posted in the chat, a blog post about streams too. Great. Thank you. Okay. Any more questions on search, or shall we move on? And Michael, thank you for posting the idea about making campaigns a proper related list. Otherwise, Beth, I think you had some more things you wanted to talk about layout and maybe the app builder a bit.
Yeah, and I thought specifically I might show a technique coined by, I believe, Matt Bertuzzi as stacked related lists. So yeah, if you
sure.
Okay, so we're back on Anna's contact here, and I have all my related lists, and that is my default tab. And it's all the related lists as they are configured on my contact page layout that is assigned to me. And that's all well and good. But one of the nice things that Lightning, and particularly Lightning App Builder, let you do is have a lot more granular control over your related lists and how they appear. So let's go into Edit Page, which will open Lightning App Builder. And first, I'll quickly demo. If you see as I move around, different things are getting highlighted with little blue outlines. So here I am on the related lists component, but here I'm actually on a tabs component that is setting up what these, I call them subnav tabs are. I'm not sure if they have a more technical name than that, but these tabs down here, so you could add more tabs here if there were more components that you wanted to expose, sort of all stacked on one another, and then users can tab through those. But within this related lists component, so this just pulls the entire set of related lists as they are defined on the page layout. And you can see that right here, we're previewing the related list configuration from this particular page layout. And if I want to adjust that as it stands, I can click through that link to get to that actual page layout. And I think at some point we'll be able to edit the page layouts directly from App Builder, but that for right now, you do have to click through to the old page layout editor to do that. But if I wanted to, for instance, only display the, let's say, org affiliations and campaign history related lists on this particular record home, and say I wanted campaign history first, I can actually remove entirely this component. So now I have a blank canvas here in this related tab, and I can come over here to search components. And if I start filtering on related, you can see I actually have two components that look remarkably similar. Just a little S separates them. So related lists, plural, is what I was using before. But if I use this one that is a single related list and drag that over, it lets me select the parent record. So for now, I'm going to leave that on use this contact. And then say I want campaign history first. All right, so now I have campaign history. Now I can drag over another related list Lightning component. And I can do org affiliations was the other one I said. And it's still pulling the definition of that particular list from the page layout, but the order and which ones are defined by me by these individual Lightning components per related list. So you can have as many or as few as you want. Just the configuration of them has to be defined on the page layout. What's extra cool is I can do another one, and I can actually reach through any lookup field or master detail field on this record and then pull a related list from that record. So I could actually say, let's go to Anna's primary affiliation and pull its contacts. So I can see who are the people that Anna works with right on Anna's record. So I don't have to click all the way through. So if I save this, I think that one's already activated, so I can just hit back. Yeah. So I'm just gonna, sorry, didn't even have to hit refresh. I'm so used to having to hit refresh. When in doubt in Lightning, refresh. Things can sometimes get a little overzealous with caching. So now you can see my related lists look totally different, and I have a related list from a parent account. That's interesting that it says parent account and not primary affiliation. That's unfortunate. But it was from the primary affiliation. That was what I chose. So yeah, stacked related lists. You get a lot more granular control. And just Lightning App Builder in general, there is a trailhead for it. Definitely do it and start really thinking about what out-of-the-box Lightning components you can use and arrange on your record homes in a helpful way. There is a ton of power in here for admins to create really effective, usable workspaces for your users with absolutely no code. The out-of-the-box Lightning components are incredibly powerful. It just takes some thought. It's like, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. You have a lot of power now, so use it, take advantage of it, and help your users.
So I think that's quite a good segue. I see some questions, sort of related questions, and maybe we could take this into, okay, if you're doing a migration, there are all these fancy new features, but you know, you have particular things that are set up in Classic. What you know, what are some of the considerations? We've already had a question about visual force pages in Classic. I know buttons is often something of there's much conversation about. I mean, if you're going to move over from a Classic environment to Lightning, what are some of the things to be a little careful about and sort of rethink, I guess, in the way that you set up Lightning? What have you found, Beth? Have you been setting new things up? Have you migrated some stuff? Are there things that you've sort of had headaches with?
Sorry, I was answering a question in the chat too. I think I'm using quick actions a lot more. The quick actions for like creating new detail records are really, really nice. The old trick of switching record types so that by workflow, so that you only show certain fields on a new record create, like you don't have to do that all that business anymore. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. But if you do know what I'm talking about, then you know why that's so cool. You can just use a quick action, only expose the fields that are relevant on a new record create. That's super handy. I'm hiding the new button on related lists a lot and forcing users to use quick actions.
Oh, I see. Because you mean it's moved. Like, yes, I wouldn't have expected the new relationship to be up at the top of the contact, because normally you'd have gone down to the related list, but you mean exactly. You can kind of take that away.
This is actually a quick action, so I can force them to use a quick action, which I define the fields for separately from the page layout, right? Because the quick action gets its own page layout. So you can only expose the fields that are relevant when the record is created. It's a really nice trick. One thing I do not like is that after 3, these actions get hidden. And you can see here, like there is so much more real estate to the left here. And I wish they would expose a few more actions, but stuff gets buried under this little drop down. So don't think that stuff isn't there, it's just hiding.
Probably an idea for it somewhere.
I think so.
More quick actions? Yeah. Okay. All right. But it's interesting. It's a bit like the compact layouts, isn't it? And even the related lists, because I know that hover links and everything have gone. It's really about sort of thinking about, isn't it, about what your users need to see and what's most relevant to them, and making sure those are the kind of the first things that they see in lists, or you know, are kind of brought to their attention.
And actually, funny that you mentioned hover links. Hover links, the option for hover links will be back in winter. Safe harbor, forward-looking statement. That has been released, that there is going to be a hover links component available in the winter release. So if you really love hover links, you can have them back in Lightning in winter.
And what we're talking about is, if you're on a contact or an account record, is that you see all of the related list as links kind of at the top of the page, don't you? You don't have to.
Also.
Okay. And question from Keith, can you configure how many action buttons to display in the Lightning page editor? Oh yeah, there you go, hover links.
Those are hover links. Keith, you can say 1, 2, or 3. That's it.
Oh,
So,
I see. Sorry. And he says it wasn't a question; it was an answer. You can configure, but there you are. You're saying, okay, 1, 2, or 3, and then the rest are in that in the
rest get buried under the triangle. Yeah.
Great. All right. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, Michelle or Angela, anything that you particularly like about page layouts, about the app builder? Any kind of gotchas or thoughts for people who are thinking of migrating?
There is no recycle bin in Lightning, but there is a component on the App Exchange now that will let you pull your recycle bin and put it on the home page. It's just an app that it's a component you have to install for the App Exchange. But by default, if you're in Lightning and you're looking for your recycle bin because you accidentally trashed somebody, you either have to switch back to Classic or you have to install that third-party component, which I think is called Recycle Bin.
Nice one. I remember being at an MVP thing when there was some dispute about, the room was all hollering, what happened to our recycle bin? Obviously, a lot of people still use it.
Caroline, that does actually raise one tip or warning, which is if you are going to install Lightning components from the App Exchange and run those, you do have to have My Domain enabled. And apparently a lot of admins are really afraid of enabling My Domain. They think it's going to break a bunch of stuff. There is very, very little to be afraid of in enabling My Domain. Do not be afraid of it. It's actually a really good thing. It does take a little bit of thought, but it's not something that you should be afraid of.
And Michelle, I think you wrote a really nice blog post about enabling My Domain. So if either Michelle or Angela would like to pick up the link to that blog post, I think it's helpful to people. Great. Sure. And in a similar vein, Norman's asking, are there any data implications switching back and forth? It doesn't affect your data, correct? Apart from you lose your recycle bin temporarily, but yes, any implications from switching back and forth on data?
No.
That was an easy one to answer. It really is, isn't it? It's all about layout and interface, and it's not like really anything from Classic goes away. It's all still there. You can switch back, can't you? You're kind of adding things really rather than taking away. Is that right?
Although you can turn off the ability for people to switch back to Classic. So if you want to kind of force people to live in Lightning, you can now disable their ability to switch back to Classic.
That was in summer release. And huge thank you to Thomas Taylor for telling me that they took away my limit of 3. And look how many buttons I have now. Thank you, Thomas. This is amazing.
Well, there we go.
So I take that entirely back. Apparently it's up to 10 now.
Well, there you go.
Woo! And now I don't know.
Can you show again where you changed that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I did.
Chat.
I was testing it to see. So you go to edit page, which takes you to the Lightning app builder for that record home. And then you go to your header bar component, highlights panel component. And then right here, visible actions. And it very clearly there says up to 10. I just hadn't looked in a while, I guess. Thank you, Thomas. Let's see if I put 10. If it'll, how it'll handle the overflow, because it was getting close to the name.
That's a lot of buttons.
Oh, that's not good though. Oh, all right. So you got to be careful. That comes with a warning.
Always test your page layouts.
Yeah, and that's going to really depend on the length of your record name or whatever that first field in your compact layout is. So yeah. Don't go nuts.
Okay.
Looks like you can maybe fit 6 or 7 comfortably.
Yeah. But that's awesome. That makes me very happy.
All right. A question then about quick actions and how you change them or work with them. Question from Jennifer.
Quick actions are kind of like buttons on steroids. And that I guess buttons plus like the standard quick actions like are also incorporate all of that quick create functionality that was in that left-hand sidebar in Classic. So the nice thing about it is you have kind of the built-in quick actions like create new button, edit, delete, stuff like that, but you can customize it. So if you want to create a contact and default it to a particular record type, and pre-populate some fields because it's already that record type, and only ask them for, you know, certain information. So it's kind of a compact way to create a new contact. You can build that in as a quick action. And then you get, I guess, a lot of the standard functionality like sending an email instead of having to like scroll down to the activities related list. You can put that button up at the top and use that as a quick action as well. You can create related records from quick actions. And then if you look at the plus sign at the upper right hand corner of the screen right next to your favorites, those are global quick actions, or I think they're just called global actions now. But those are things that are kind of not object specific. So if you want to just create a new, like do a quick create of any record, or any, you know, record that's a specific record type, you can add that up to global actions. You can also run flows from the global actions. So you can have it launch like a Visualforce page with a flow, which is really cool because it does it as kind of like an overlay of your current page. So you can like be on the home page, go through your little flow that pops up in the like bottom right hand corner, like where you see the new task on Beth's screen. And then once you're done, you just close it out and you're still on the page that you were, you know, originally working on.
So I get the question now as well, which is where do you configure those? Where do you create your new action, quick actions and global actions?
So that is in setup. And I'm sorry, Beth, it's your page.
Beth, are you with us?
If you want to drive.
Sorry, I was responding to Norman. You want to go to setup?
Yes, I know. We want to find out where you create or modify quick actions, please.
So Norman was asking if you can not spawn a new tab when you hit setup. I don't think you can.
Not anymore.
Yeah, it always does. But like, I don't know. I think that's a good thing. But yeah. Actions? Global actions.
Yeah.
Is that the one you're looking for?
Yeah, so global actions, the ones that come under that plus sign, are right from the setup menu. The object-specific actions, you have to go into the actual object from Object Manager.
Those would be under
And then
here.
there. So it's the same with, goes along with buttons and links. So actions are like the lightning version of buttons and links on the object. Just make sure you select create new action and not create new button or link, or it will not show up on your lightning page.
There we go. Great. Thank you for that. Yeah, I think I'm with you with the setting up the new tabs, because it felt to me one of the problems I was having with Lightning was that I was so used to always working in a new tab and having kind of multiple tabs open when I was trying things out, that it was actually kind of annoying when it didn't open a new tab. So sorry, Norman, I think you might have been outvoted on that one. But anyway.
Originally, it didn't open in a new tab, and everyone was very upset. So this was their response. So sorry, Norman, the upset people overruled the right to choose.
There was a question a little while ago from Madison. He says, Norman says he can live with it, which is, Oh yeah, which I think actually, sorry, you picked up in chat, Michelle, but Madison was asking about non-admin users changing how their layout appeared without affecting other users. And as you point out, Michelle, the layouts are specific to profiles, and admins get to set them up, don't they? Though I suppose there always was that ability to customize, for users to customize some things for themselves. So I guess that kind of comes back to favorites, doesn't it? It's like the page layout's set up by the admin, but there is quite a lot you can customize yourself by doing favorites and streams and things like that, isn't there?
Right, yeah.
Even more in winter.
Okay. But for now.
For now.
Yeah.
I know we didn't show the forward-looking statements legalese.
Yeah.
Nobody get mad at Beth if Salesforce doesn't follow through, because she's just saying what they told her.
Same thing applies to your Lightning only after the last user thing. That seems like one of those too good to be true safe harbor things.
All right. Okay. We have a few more minutes left if anyone has any more questions. And was there any, actually we could go back to Bill's original question about the killer apps or the killer features. Have we, team, have we covered the things that you think are kind of killer, or is there anything else? We don't have time to demo it, but is there anything else that people should be looking at or thinking about with Lightning that makes it kind of a compulsory change or well worth having? Anything else?
The pace at which new features are being added to Lightning is accelerating, and the pace at which new features are being added to Classic is dramatically decelerating. So if you want anything new, you're going to have to switch, basically. Like, that's really how they're incentivizing people.
The same applies for documentation and such. So I believe all new documentation is going to be for Lightning, not Classic. So increasingly, if you need help, you're going to find help for solutions using Lightning, which may be confusing if you're in Classic. So that for me is a big reason to switch if you're working in an org that has a lot of users that tend to Google things for documentation.
KKK is talking about reports and dashboards. I mean, do you have kind of favorite things about reports and dashboards?
The dashboards in Lightning are so much nicer. I have clients who used to export reports and create pretty charts so they could share with their board members, and now they will go to the board meeting and project the Lightning dashboard, because you can zoom in and go scroll components through component by component like it's a PowerPoint presentation and just go through and talk about everyone. So it's a huge time saver if you share the dashboards externally, if you present them in meetings and stuff. They're so easy to see, and it makes board members happy. So if you work for a nonprofit, that's a pretty good selling point.
There are some changes or differences between some standard report functionality in Classic and Lightning. I posted that in the chat a couple of inches up in your chat, but there's a good helpful link. Sometimes if I'm building reports in Lightning and it's just not working the way I want it to, I found, it's because that particular thing I'm working on isn't supported quite yet. So just a note, you may encounter some of those things, but they're pretty few and far between.
That's great, and it's changing all the time, isn't it? And I mean, at least you still have the option that you can swap back to Classic and do what you need to do and come back. We're at 10 o'clock. Thank you very much indeed, and Michelle has to jump. Thank you very much indeed, Michelle. That was great. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Angela. I think this has been a really useful session. Thank you for the contributions, Christian, Thomas, Michael, Bill. It's great for you all to have joined the conversation. and I will capture the chat log. We have recorded this session. I'll post the link in the Power of Us Hub. So thank you very much for your time, everybody. Office Hours will be back with a general Q&A session next Friday. In the meantime, everybody have a lovely weekend.
Thank you, Caroline. Bye.